Okay, we are live. Good morning, everyone. My name is Taylor. I am your International Woman of Service Mrs. 2024, and I will wait for people to log on a couple more minutes because I am a little bit early. I apologize in advance if I seem weird or awkward because I am. And if I get distracted by my dog, Dante, who is over here now. So hold on. You okay, baby? This is also where his water bowl is. Do you feel better, dude? Dogs. Okay, so now that my dog has kindly walked away, good morning. I'm Taylor. I am the International Woman of Service Mrs. 2024, and this morning I'm going to walk you through my makeup process. So this is my go-to makeup look for all pageants and for most everything. The only thing I ever really change is what eyeshadow colors I use. Sometimes I change the shape, but not as much. So I always start with a freshly washed face, moisturized sunscreen, which I've already done off camera. First product I use is primer. I usually like to use the Maybelline Master Prime, but right now I don't think I have that much. So yeah, this container is empty. So I'm going to be using a sample of the Hourglass Vanish, airbrush primer. Because yeah, that's what I have on hand. Okay. I like to use a good amount. And I apply my primer the same way that I apply my moisturizer, my sunscreen, just everywhere. Everybody does this a little bit differently. And again, everybody does their makeup a little bit differently. So the colors that I'm using may not be the right colors for you. I tend to have very olive undertones. So I'm going to be using some cool gray tones to create my shadow look. But I'm going to be using a champagne colored base color because it looks better than a true beige. Champagne tones just have a little more peach in them, and that tends to look beige on my skin. Okay, so after priming, I go in with my foundation. I tend to get, good morning. Thank you for joining me. Catch you up to speed. I'm Taylor. I'm the International Woman of Service, Mrs. 2024. I started, as I always do, with a clean face, moisturized, and sunscreen. I just put on primer. I usually like to use the Maybelline Master Prime, but that container is empty and I don't have any more. So I used a sample of the Hourglass Vanish Airbrush Primer, because that is what I had. Next, I'm going in with foundation. I tend to get a little bit oily in my T-zone, so that's around your forehead, around your nose, and your chin area. So I'm using the Clinique Stay Matte Oil-Free Makeup Foundation in shade WN94, Deep Neutral Medium. And there is something in my eyelash, I'm sorry. Okay. So I like to shake it up, make sure it's not separated, and I just put it on the back of my hand. That is the palette of choice for me because it's always there. And then I'm going to use a Real Techniques 241 Seamless Complexion brush. It's kind of set up so that you only apply with this side. I mean, I don't think that's how you have to do it, but that's how I like to use it. And then I just go in. I like to start with my forehead and work down. and I just put it everywhere. And I do like to go a little bit back onto my ear, especially if I wear my hair pulled back, which I don't think I'm going to do today. Actually, for a change of pace, I straightened my hair last night and put in this heatless curling set. I actually used two, one for the back section and one for the front. So I'm gonna see how my hair looks, I guess. I normally have very, very curly hair. On the curl pattern or tightness chart, I have a mix of 3B, 3C, and 4A. So very curly and a little bit of coily. But every once in a while, like at least once a year, if not twice, I do like to straighten it just to see how long it's getting. And my hair is a lot longer than I thought. Good morning, Trisha. Thank you guys for joining me. So I'm just doing my foundation, and I like to blend it down on my chin, and depending on what I'm wearing, I will go down my neck. But I try not to go down too far, and I don't like to apply product down there. I just use the brush to drag what I've already applied and pull it down a little, just to help sort of blend that out. Especially if foundation is not exactly the right color. If you have trouble matching your foundations though, or picking the right color foundation or even the right color concealer, I recommend, there's this website called Temptalia, and I did a whole blog post about this, so it's on We Aim to Slay, who should be tagged in the caption. This is my first Facebook Live, so I don't know where it is exactly. If not, I'll throw it into the comments at some point. I did a post on this. They have this thing called the Foundation Matrix where you take this quiz. There's less than 10 questions. And they ask about like your undertones and like what skin tone you are. And then it gives you a list of every foundation, every finish, every concealer that falls within your shade range. And it's amazing. You can even filter it by like, hey, I prefer a powdered foundation. I prefer a cream concealer. So it knocks out of the park. And I have to do it a lot kind of because being a mixed background, my skin tone changes depending on how much sun I get. So this shade of Clinique is the WN94 Deep Neutral Medium. This is my summer shade. And it really is a good match for my skin tone. I mean, you can see it's a pretty good match. Okay, so foundation is on. Next, I like to contour because I can always fix it with concealer if I put too much. I'm using the Fenty Beauty Match Stick in color Truffle. And basically what I'm doing is I'm adding some shadows into my face, right? Because I've just sort of flattened everything out with foundation, making it all the same color and tone. Now I want to add some dimension back in. So I like to go around my forehead because my face tends to be kind of like diamond shaped, so I like to round out the top. I do my temples a little bit. And then I come around my cheekbone. The best way to find this is to make the fishy face. You don't want to go in where the fishy face is, but you want to do kind of leading into it. Coming like in a circle around your cheekbone, like that. I'll show you on this side, the light will be better. And then kind of right before the indentation for the fishy face would start. And then I also like to do my jaw. I think I personally like my jaw shape, so I like to accentuate that. But you don't have to if you don't want to. Or this can help, like if you don't think you have a good jaw shape, it can help kind of cut it in a little bit. And then I also like to do my nose just a little so that there's a little bit of shadow and shape. And I just kind of curve around where the tip is. Where did I? Found the top. Okay. And then I like to use a buffing brush to kind of buff in my contour. And I kind of move in like a circular pattern, but I try to go just over the line because I don't want it to move away from where I applied it, but I don't necessarily want it to look obvious. So I just kind of move in a little circle. And sometimes I like to blend the cheekbone contour up into the temple contour. That just kind of works for my face shape though. And then down along the jaw. And that I'm mostly blending under because I'm trying to kind of like cast a shadow there so that you don't see as much of my double chin. And then same thing on this side. So I should probably explain what I'm doing today and why I'm doing my makeup. I am judging the Connecticut Speech and Action Speech Competition, which is for high school students. They will be, presenting speeches on areas of concern, and they have, they'll be judged on like what their research is, how well they're able to present the information, whether or not they have a sort of call to action plan to help people get involved, whether, at the state, local, or higher level. And I think that's really awesome, not only because I think it's important for young people to get involved in their communities, especially, with whatever interests them, but also because that reflects directly into our organization, the International American Women of Service Pageant. Our international platform, which is new this year, is called Crown of Service. And it's honestly, I think this is just like such a brilliant idea. Rather than focusing on any one area of concern, the organization is set up to help support all of our contestants and title holders for their areas of concern, which I think is awesome. One, because we're supporting each other, and more women should be supporting each other, I just think. And two, because you're able to give back to so many different communities in so many different ways, just by helping someone do something simple. Like I personally do a lot of work with the American Red Cross. I have been donating since I was in high school. I just recently realized, or found out rather, that I've donated 2 whole gallons, which is, good morning, thanks for joining me, which is pretty cool. So, I'm excited to hear what these kids have to say. And another thing which is cool, I just learned this the other day, that the top 5 speeches, one of them, their area of concern, will be selected as the new service project for Connecticut Speech and Action for this upcoming year, which is awesome. So very excited to be taking part in that today. Okay, so I just finished contouring, which looks a little crazy, but we're not done yet, trust me. And now I'm moving on to concealer. So I use a couple of different concealers. One of them is closer to my actual skin tone. That is by Lancome, and I'm not using that today. I'm going to be using the Tarte Shape Tape in shade 27S Light Medium Sand, which looks crazy, crazy bright, but I have very dark circles, and I just always do, no matter how much sleep I get or how much coffee I drink. So I'm going to dot it close to the inner corner and then closer to like the outer corner of my eye, both sides. I was talking earlier when I was doing my primer and my foundation that I tend to get a little oily in my T-zone, so that's like along your forehead, nose, and chin, so I like to conceal there also. As Elsa said, we conceal, don't feel. So I just do like a little T shape. I don't know why, because I do. Put some around my nose, because I tend to crease there. I like to do right there also to help kind of accentuate my lips once I get into that. And then if I do too much contour, like I did over there, I will also put a little bit in here just to help lighten that area, 1, and 2, to help really define the contour more, but it'll blend, trust me. Okay, so I like to use a beauty blender to blend out my concealer, so I'm just getting my sponge wet. Wring out the extra water. And then I just bounce it. And I do kind of bring my concealer out towards my temple area, but I try not to actually go over the temple because we just contoured that. If I do end up bringing my concealer out too far, I will just touch it up, my contour. I'll just touch up my contour with like the powdered one. Or sometimes I'll just go back in with the same brush, but I won't add any more product. I'll just use what product is built up on the brush. And then I like to conceal this area next. Chin. And I try not to bring my concealer up too far because you can, I don't know if you can see it, but very expressive face. I have a big crease right there because I can't help but express what I'm thinking. So I try not to bring too much product together in that area because I don't want it to be obvious. And I know I look crazy right now, but that's okay. We will fix it. So now I'm going to do a little bit of baking and setting, which I don't really know what the difference is, but I'm gonna be doing that. I like to use a loose powder. I'm just using the Sephora brand loose setting powder in like a translucent shade. I'm just using my sponge, getting it all up in there. And I'm gonna just apply what seems like a crazy excessive amount of powder, but I'm not going to leave it there. At some point, I'm gonna go back in with like a big fluffy brush and sort of blend that all back in so that it, one, helps to set everything, but two, smooths out the harsh delineations between products, because I know it still looks kind of crazy. I like to do a little bit more powder under my eyes than anywhere else, but I will be putting the powder everywhere. I just did concealer. Okay, so while I let that kind of set in place, I'm gonna double check to see if there's anywhere I wanna kind of touch up with my contour. And it really doesn't look like I need to yet, but I might go in with, this is the brush I use for when I put on powdered contour slash bronzer. It's a Real Techniques contour brush. I kind of like this shape. I have a second one of the same shape that I use for highlighter because I just feel like it's, you know, it gets into the nooks and crannies. I just want to blend this out a little bit more because this one looks a little bit crazy today. Okay, so now the fluffy brush, knocking things over. Now the fluffy brush part I was talking about. This is a Morphe R2, but you wouldn't be able to tell. And it's just a big fluffy brush. I'm just going to kind of like blend out the setting powder into the contour a little bit, which will help just sort of soften everything together. Okay, now I'm gonna add my blush. And now this is where I'm going to become the most annoying makeup person ever. So there's a lot of products I'm gonna use today that I didn't realize were limited edition until I'd already fallen in love with them and tried to buy them again. This product isn't, but a lot of the products from its collection are. It is by ColourPop. It is the Sailor Moon X ColourPop Blush, Pressed Powder Blush in shade Cat's Eye. It's more of like a peachy pink, and if you can see, it has like gold flecks in it. I do really well with more peachy coral colors instead of true pinks because I have olive undertones, and the green and the red just kind of cancel out and look crazy. So I'm just loading up my brush. Sometimes I tap it, sometimes I don't. And I'm just patting in, kind of arcing up towards where my contour and my concealer are meeting at my temple. Starting on like the apple of your cheek. If you can't find it, smile. It's that big part. But you don't want to come in under your eye too much because then it kind of looks like sunburn. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. I'm just bouncing. And I like the bouncing technique because for some reason this brush will just pull my foundation off if I rub it. But also, I believe very strongly that doing your makeup is kind of like painting, and I'm by no means an artist, but you can always add more color. You cannot easily take color away. So I recommend a light hand to start. I also like to use a little bit of brush. I won't pick up more product at this point to kind of blend in between the contour and the concealer, going right into the spot I said I wasn't going to, but I always do it. I put a little bit on my nose and a little bit on my chin just to help bring more color back into my face so it doesn't look quite as obvious that I'm covered in concealer. Okay, and now I'm going to move into my brows. I consider my brows to be part of my base makeup. Some people don't. Some people like to stop or like end with their brows. I like to do it before my eye because it helps me to balance out like how crazy my eye is, depending on how crazy my brows end up looking. I just kind of cleaned them up yesterday or the day before, so they're kind of behaving. So let's see what happens. I always start with brow wax. I really like this one. It's by Milani. It's the Stay Put Liquid Brow Wax in shade 110. It's just clear. Well, I mean, it's white, but it goes on clear. I just wipe the excess off onto the tube, and I just brush my brow up, kind of into the shape I want, but up. My brow hairs are not going crazy because I trim them as part of my doing my brows. And I just kind of brush them overall into the shape I want them to be, also a little bit up because I'm going to be brushing them back out again. After I apply my product, I like to use a spoolie brush to just sort of comb through my brows, blend the product in, make sure everything is looking the way I want. But I do like to put the wax down first because then one, they're kind of already in the shape I want and I know where I need to fill in. And then two, it also gives something a little bit extra for the product to adhere to. Especially if you use powder, which I do sometimes. I'm going to use a pencil today because I'm going all out. This is what is left of the pencil I like to use for my eyebrows. It's the NYX Eye and Eyebrow Pencil in the shade Black Brown. Because my hair looks like it's black, but it's actually not. It is brown. There's actually a lot of red in there too, crazy. But so this is more of like an espresso shade. And then I just like very light-handed. I like to start at the end because, you know, that should be a little bit darker than the front. You want to make sure that you make the outside corner of your brow darker than the front. That'll help keep it kind of balanced. And I just very light-handed, kind of like scoop, brush, however you want to say. I try not to go too high up on the inner corner because, again, you want to keep that a little bit lighter. It helps look a little more natural. but I do tend to have like some like weird patches kind of like in the center. So I might put a little bit extra product there. I'm gonna leave that one to chill for now, and I'm gonna come into this side. Same thing, start at the outer edge. I like to work at the bottom of the outer edge to start and kind of like blend up. It's also important to remember, oh geez, see I went outside the line already, but I just used my finger and it's fine. Like I was saying, it's important to remember that our eyebrows are cousins, not twins. So this eyebrow that I'm currently working on is more the shape and positioning that I like. And no matter what I do, I just can't get the other one to match up. So I just have embraced that they're their own people. And I just let them do their thing. All right, that one looks crazy, but that's okay. It's part of the process. Going in with a spoolie brush, I like to bend my spoolies. I think it makes them easier to work with. That's just me. And I will just blend my brow out, brushing the hairs back down into the shape that I like. This also helps to kind of like pull out the end a little bit. This side's looking a little bit crazy, but that's fine. Ay. There's like a couple of hairs right here that are not falling in line, but you know what? It's whatever. There, that kind of helped. Eyebrows. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with the big fluffy brush, no product, just to kind of make sure that this is all blended together nicely. Carefully on the forehead so I don't hit the brows. At some points, I might spray with some setting spray at this step. I'm not going to right now, but I might sometimes. I like to use the Morphe Continuous Mist setting spray, but you know, use the setting spray of your choice. I'm gonna move into my eyes at this point, and I'm going to be using the shadows from two palettes. First, using the ColourPop of Quartz palette. These are going to be my gray tones to help build my shadow. And they're more cool tones. And as dark as this bottom shade looks, it's not a true black. It's a very dark gray. So I have an individual shadow that is, well, it's darker than this one. I think it's still like a charcoal gray, but close enough. And I'm also going to use a couple of shades from the ColourPop Sailor Moon X ColourPop Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon palette. I think you can probably tell which color I'm going to be using. That one, that's the base shade I was talking about earlier, that it's more of a champagne color than a true beige. And those just tend to look a little nicer on my skin tone because of my olive undertones. I'm also going to come back in and use this silvery, sparkly, it's kind of like a pearlescent shade as a highlight color. Okay, so starting with a big fluffy brow. This one is by Real Techniques. It's the medium shadow brush. I'm gonna take this Barely There beige color. I don't know what I'm gonna do when I run out of that. It's my go-to. Tap off the excess, and I'm just going to put it everywhere from my lash line up to my brow bone. This is gonna give us one, a nice even sort of base to work with, but two, it's gonna give a neutral sort of color to blend everything else into, which will make them blend a little softer. Kind of like if you're a painter, you know, some people like to paint a white base or like a clear base on their canvas, so that there's just like something for it to grip to. I should clarify again that I'm not a painter, but I took some art classes like in high school and in college. And it's, you know, the basic principles are very similar to using makeup. Color wheel, building shadow, all that jazz. Good morning. Thanks for joining. Okay, so I've done my base makeup and I just put on my base eyeshadow. My eyebrows are done also. I'm moving into the ColourPop of Quartz palette. And I'm going to use this brush that I've had literally forever. I don't know how you would describe it. It's kind of just like, it's kind of fluffy, but it's not. It's like pretty dense. I don't know. And I'm going to start with the lightest brown shade in this palette. And this is kind of like the trick that I do. This is how I put on my makeup no matter what color I am using. I start kind of like, you have to find your crease. So start with your eye open, you see where your crease is, and you're gonna go a little bit above that in your crease, but also a little bit above that with this base color. And you're gonna go, I don't go all the way in, I go about 2/3 of the way in your eye. And then where it comes out, I then cross in kind of like on a V. And that is gonna be the general shape of my look. I'm gonna add a little bit more to the outside here for my V. And just kind of like fluff it into my crease, also slightly above, just to build my base. And then I'm gonna do the same on this side. So you're gonna wanna find your crease. Mine is like here, and you're gonna go in it, but also a little bit above. And I do have to look at the mirror, so I apologize. About 2/3 in, and then when you get to the outside, you come down on an angle, kind of making a V. And I kind of already got shadow outside my shape, so I'll just kind of buff that out with my finger, but I can always clean that up with my sponge and some concealer / foundation later if I need to. So now I have the basic shape of where my makeup is going. I'm gonna go back into this palette, but now I'm using this bottom tone, which is the same color family as this first one, it's just a little bit darker. Get some on the brush, tap off the excess. We're gonna stick mostly in the crease and a little bit below it with this color, because we still wanna see some of that first color, but we want to build up into our shadow. For hooded eyes, you're gonna wanna work mostly above the crease, not in the crease, because, you know, you'll lose it. Like, I don't really have hooded eyes, but you can see that even where the product is mostly in my crease here, when I open my eyes and look at the camera, you lose the product. That's why you're gonna wanna work a little bit above the eye. I have kind of big bushy eyebrows, so I can't go too high up because then you kind of lose the top, but you know, you're gonna wanna work kind of in that space between where your eyebrow or your actual eye bone is and the bottom of your eyeshadow. And I can also do more research. Maybe that's a good idea. And I will write a blog post on it, sure. Kind of focusing on hooded eyes. And then you're gonna wanna try the same thing on the other side. And remember how I said that the eyebrows aren't sisters, they're cousins? Our eye shapes are also different. Of course, you're so welcome. Our eye shapes are also different. You'll notice, maybe you won't, but this eye tends to be more of like an almond shape, and this one tends to be a little bit rounder on my face. So I have to like really kind of make that sort of shape on this side, whereas my eye is kind of already shaped the way I want my makeup to look on this side. So this eye, this half of my face, always looks a little bit better in my opinion, because it's the shape I'm trying to make this side take. Okay, at this point I'm gonna grab a fluffy brush, one that's clean, I hope. I need to clean my makeup brushes. And oh, here's the one I wanted. Okay. And I'm just gonna blend in like a windshield wiper fashion along the same line that I've been putting my shadow on. And I keep like jumping outside the shape here, so I'm definitely gonna have to clean that side up, but that's okay. Okay, now I'm using the same brush that I've applied the other two shadows in. I'm gonna come in with this dark shade here. Definitely tap off the excess because you don't want too much here. And kind of working on the outer third only. You're gonna get it kind of under the crease, sort of more towards the inside, excuse me, of the last color you just put on, that sort of medium color. So it'll be easier for you guys to see on here. You're just working on like the outer third, just a little bit. Same blending brush, windshield wiper, but you're gonna wanna stay kind of close to where you've already applied that color because you don't wanna move that one around too much. Bringing too much of a dark shade in makes your eyes look a little bit smaller. So that one you wanna make sure you kind of keep to the outer third. And you can kind of blend it up a little bit on the outside, but not too much on the inside. I'm just looking at it and they're not really the same shape, but that's fine. I'm gonna put a little bit more of that dark color on this side. Blend that in a little bit better. Okay, so now depending on what I'm doing, this is where I would go in maybe with my black shadow. I don't want to go too heavy because I'm going to be like kind of face to face with people today, so I'm not going to put a darker shadow on. I'm just going to blend these out a little bit better. So like when I competed on stage for International Women of Service, I did use the black to darken this so that it would be more visible on stage. And this is the same exact way that I put on my makeup for interview. I just used softer brown shades rather than the grays because again, I was going to be face to face, but I wanted to, you know, be a little fancier today. Using the same brush that I've been applying all my shadows on, I'm just going to put a little bit under my bottom lash line. I'm not adding any more product. I'm just using what's been built up on the brush. Again, kind of only the inner 2/3, or like from the outside, only go 2/3 in. I like to kind of stop with when my pupil is in the center. Good morning, Chelsea. How are you, my love? And don't worry, for everybody who's turning in now, I know I started early, but I have to be on time. This is gonna post onto my page, so you can rewind it. I think that's a setting I can set up. I'll double check and come back and look. So I just brought a little bit of that shadow under, and now it kind of looks like I have bottom liner on. I don't like to do too much bottom liner because it makes my eyes look small. Okay, so shadows are not, I almost forgot. Going back to my Sailor Moon palette with a flat brush. It can be kind of any size, but I like kind of more of a medium brush because I don't want it to be too big. But I can never find the brush that I want, even when they're all set out in front of me. So I'm using kind of a small flat brush. And I'm going with this shiny sort of pearlescent shade. This is going to be my lid shade. And I'm kind of packing that in. We've been leaving this center area open because this is where you want to put your highlighting shade. I'm going to bring that to my inner corner because it's also going to be my highlight. And you can bring it up to the crease to kind of, you know, blend that in, but we'll go back and blend it. Show you on this eye, just sort of patting. And I was saying this earlier, for those of you who are just sort of tuning in now, that because of my olive undertones, I do better with more like champagne, sort of peachy shades rather than true nudes. So this highlight shade is more like a pearlescent. There's like a rose-ish, like a rose goldish hue to it. I'm also going to use this to highlight my brow bone. And I'm going to go like literally right under it. And I'm just sort of smear it on there. Bam. All right, now this is the actual hardest part. Eyeliner. I like to use a liquid liner with like a felt tip because I feel like it gives me the best control. I really, really swear by this Stila Stay All Day waterproof liquid eyeliner because look how thin that is. You have great control with this. And I apologize in advance for my weird face. So I like to pull my eye out, which is probably not good for your skin, but this is how I've been doing it since I was 12. And I start in the middle and I just kind of like stamp out a thin line. I don't want to go too crazy today, but you know, we'll see what happens. And I just kind of start lightly bringing the line out. And then I kind of stamp my way in to like where my eyelashes start. If I go too far past that point, I run the risk of my eyeliner bleeding down into my, you know, under eye area because my eyes water a lot. And then I just kind of, from the outside, I just draw like a little bit of a wing. It looks big because I have my eye like pulled out. But when I let go, it just becomes very small. You can barely see it, but it just kind of, I don't know. It's just magic. That little line does everything. It's not even at all, so I'm going to get closer to the mirror so I can fix it really quickly. Better. You can see the difference. I'm going to just be close to the mirror. Oh, actually, I'm going to try so that you guys can see me doing this. All right, so I pull my eye out, start in the center. And I'm really trying to stay as close to the lash line as I can when I first start. You get it, Chelsea. So Chelsea, I don't know if everybody can see the comments, but she said that she also prefers a felt tip and to pull the lid. I don't know if this is like a generational thing. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the Y2K in us. Who knows? But yeah. So then I pull this outer corner. Kind of make a little bit of a wing. And then I let it go. And because I can't wear my glasses while I'm doing my makeup, obviously, I have to get close to the mirror to see. I do kind of want to bring the inner corner down a little bit because it's kind of like floating. So I'm just gonna kind of stamp it like that. Just a little, just to kind of like bring it. I don't think I brought it in enough. Oh, the eternal struggle of getting your eyeliner even. Am I right? I just want to touch this up a little bit. Bam. If I mess with it more, it'll get out of control. All right. This now is my secret weapon, my next step. I cannot put eyelashes on myself, so I just don't wear them. Instead, I put mascara primer under my mascara. And this is what I wore for the whole pageant back in July. I did not put a set of eyelashes on myself the entire time because I hate them and I can't do it. So mascara primer, like you can find them just by Googling them. I found one on Amazon that I sent to my mom, so I'll put that in the comments. This one is by Lancome. I don't recommend spending like, I don't know, this is like 20, 25 bucks. That's a lot for like a small container. So this product is fantastic, but there's got to be a dupe of it somewhere. And I will find it and I will put it in the comments. It's just white. It's on a mascara tube. And you just put it on like it's mascara. So I come to the base and I wiggle. I do some blinking. With this product, I can also kind of roll from the front, or from the top rather. Thank you. I appreciate that. I did get very lucky with my eyelashes. I do tend to have very long lashes, so I can kind of get away with a little bit less. Yeah, thanks, Mom. Appreciate you. And I just make sure that there's like a good amount, which does leave your lashes looking a little bit crazy, but it gives something for your mascara to bond onto, and then they just look a little bit thicker, a little bit longer, all the things that false lashes do without any of the hassle. And I do put it on my bottoms also, but I don't drag down. I just kind of wiggle along the lash line because I also have very long bottom lashes and they tend to deposit a lot of product under my eye, which makes me kind of look like a raccoon, which is not really the look I'm going for. All right, make sure we've got some here. Lashes look crazy, but that's a good thing. Now I'm using the Benefit Bad Gal Bang Waterproof Mascara, which I am ambivalent towards. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It works. I don't like the brush. It's wiggly. I like to bend my spoolies so that I have like kind of more control. That's neither here nor there. It's the product that I have. And I kind of apply in the same way, kind of blinking, a little bit of wiggling, but I don't go from the top usually. Like I don't roll out from the top with mascara because I find that it can be quite clumpy and then you run the risk of it like getting everywhere. So while I talk about why I don't like this mascara, I prefer the Maybelline Lash Stiletto. That's like my go-to mascara. I've been using it since I was in high school. Second place would probably be the L'Oreal Voluminous, which I do have a little sample tube of, but it's not waterproof. And I'm not saying I'm a crier, but my eyes certainly do be watering, especially when people are talking about things that they like. So I'm not going to run that risk of my mascara running today. And like, if my lashes are looking a little chunky and clumpy, which they kind of are, like spider legs, not really the look I'm going for, right? Twiggy looks great. I'm not trying to be that right now. So I will go back through with like a little, I don't know what those things are called. Hold on, where is it? Oh, these things are literally called a lash separator. You learn something new every day. So I'll use that to kind of separate my lashes back out so that they look a little less clumpy. And now doing my bottoms. Again, I try not to bring the mascara out too far on the bottoms because I don't want it to end up all over my face. I did get a little mascara under my eye on this side, but there is a cool trick that I learned 100 years ago, and I will show you it today. Firstly, don't touch it. You have to leave it there. You have to let it dry. which sounds counterintuitive, but trust me, I'm gonna try to do the lash separator. I always just kind of like use my finger. I don't know what else to use. And then just like some micellar water on a cotton ball or like a wipe or whatever to get it back off. But when they get chunky like this. Okay. Please work with me, dude. Not against me. All right, that's better. All right, see? A little bit better. Let me grab a tissue. Okay, make sure there's no mascara on your hand. So, you get mascara on your face. We've let it dry. You're gonna take a spoolie. I keep one. This is what I mean by I like to bend them with my mascara, by the way. I just bend them like that. Spoolie. This one I just keep with my eyeshadow brushes just for this. So there's nothing on it. And you literally just like use your spoolie to scrape it back off. And for some reason, it does. And it just works. So I hope that helps you guys. All right, that's my face mostly. Going to spray. That was the Morphe Continuous Mist Setting Spray. I just like that one the best because, I don't know, I like the continuous mister aspect, I guess. That's the thing for me. All right, and now I'm gonna finish off with lips. I'm doing it again. I'm bringing up a product you can't find anymore. I'm glad I can help, Chels. This is the now no longer in existence brand Bite Beauty. This was the Power Move Soft Matte Lipstick in the color Chai. I also have their Amuse Bouge lipstick in the color Chai because this is like the absolute most perfect color for me ever. And of course, now that this company doesn't exist, they don't make it. But I checked that website I was talking about before, Temptalia, because they post a ton of dupes. And that post is somewhere on the We Aim to Slay blog, and Facebook page. So I will just find it and share it again, pin it to the top so everybody can find it. They post dupes and like suggestions for trying different products. They recommended trying the Kat Von D lipstick in Lolita 2. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm very excited to do so because if it is a good color match or dupe, I will be ecstatic. Okay, I put foundation all over my lips. I had a lip mask on under that, so like my lips stayed hydrated. I'm not gonna wipe this off. I'm also not gonna use lip liner because I'm bad at it. And I'm just going to start on the bottom because that lip is easier for me. It's a little bit thicker. A little bit up so I can kind of see where my top lip is, and then carefully along the edge. You do want to follow like the overall shape of your lip. If you're not using liner, if you are using liner, you can kind of change the shape of your lip. And that's a skill I wish I had. Okay, and I always blend it out with my finger because I think it just helps soften it a bit. Okay, wipe that off. And then using a different finger, kind of pull it down off my Cupid's bow a little bit. And then, because this is a matte lipstick, I'm gonna go back over it with a gloss. This is the Sailor Moon X ColourPop Ultra Glossy Lip in shade Moon Tiara. And I hope and hope that this is a product I can get again because it's perfect. It's just like gold with like a little bit of like a peachy shimmer. And I just, starting in the center, rub onto the lip and then the lips together. And I like to apply gloss to my bottom lip and rub it into the top. I don't really put it on the top too much unless I'm like kind of cleaning up the edges. I'm gonna do that over here a little. this is my go-to pageant look. This is quite literally the exact look that I wore with the exact products that I wore when I was competing for the title of International Women of Service Mrs. And I am running behind schedule, so I'm going to say goodbye. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their Saturday. I'm going to do my hair and get dressed off camera, and you can guarantee I will be posting what I end up wearing later on. Happy Saturday. Thanks you guys for joining me. Can't wait to see you soon.